TekTalk, the official podcast from Tektronix Technologies.
Hello everyone, good morning. Welcome to TekTalk, the official podcast program from Tektronix Technologies. So today we have our special guest, Khader Mohammed from USA, specialized in cybersecurity and major roles carried out by him from CISO to CTO for major organizations. So we will discuss a very important question which is, in everyone's ears, which is CrowdStrike. What happened, how it happened, what was the cause of it, and everyone has heard hundreds of answers to it. But what I feel is we need to go to the root cause to find out what exactly caused it and what was the reason and how we can refrain from this mistake again, causing a major loss for major entities throughout the world. So I would like to pass on this question to Mr. Mohammed, and we will discuss more on that. So hello, hi.
Hi.
Mr. Mohammed, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Arshad?
Great, alhamdulillah. So the main question, what was pondering in my mind, was regarding the CrowdStrike attack, which happened and which caused a massive chaos throughout the world.
Absolutely.
You call it as airports or schools, hospitals, and major hospital emergency operations have been stopped for different reasons. Microsoft is being widely used by different entities in crucial areas, in normal operations, and so on and so forth. So the people were stuck in different countries. Emergency evacuation programs were not in a situation to carry out because of this. So in terms of a operational stop, it was a major hit.
Disruption. Yeah.
So of course the disruption. So I just need your information. I want to know what exactly caused this, and how it happened and how badly it affected the whole infra of the world.
Absolutely. Arshad bhai, this outage is a typical example of third-party software supplier risk and also secrets management. And when you have a secrets management platform that is separate and it is not managed well, you land in a situation where the secrets are not accessible by the other party.
Oh, yes.
And you don't have proper rights of ownership and authorship and custodian of digital secrets that are kept to validate the authenticated flow of a patch that needs to be carried out, and so forth. In this case, the secrets were not well maintained. And then Microsoft outsourced critical software patch management to CrowdStrike. And in this case, that critical software patch management was not fully tested. Usually that test has a recovery and it has a fallback scenarios, and all were tested. And then if it is a patch that needs to be applied, it goes through all its completion. And if it fails, it needs to fail safe. And in this case, and then if it fails safe, the credentials, when it retrieves for a shutdown signal that comes in, or a slow fail-safe model where it shutdowns gracefully, if I may, that credential you have to enter in order to shut down the system and the platform. And that was stored in another third-party CV, which Microsoft couldn't have access to.
Exactly.
And in that CV, in that credential vault, that is managed by another third-party platform. So Microsoft needs to take this situation entirely and bring their software supplier chain risk in to contain it, what happens when a critical patch needs to be applied, and how they should roll out this patch. At the same time, manage the secrets of the third-party suppliers well. Microsoft has a platform for credential vault. They are preaching to the world that they do this well, but in their own systems, they do not apply their same design thinking and secrets management thinking for their own software patch management. And as a result, we saw the disruption.
Thank you for the insight and the information regarding the issue which was happened. So adding to this, basically Tektronix as a company, we render a lot of solutions in terms of physical security identity management. We call it as PSIM solution, where we connect multiple controls in terms of access management, identity management, physical check, and in terms of ID validation, then we also integrate multiple third-party applications and services like ANPR, automatic number plate recognition, we call it as UVSS, underground vehicle surveillance system, then integrated with the surveillance management system and so on and so forth. So in terms of access management, we'll use a lot of controls and devices like biometrics from face to palm to iris. So all of these controls as a segment, we call it as an access management or access control physical security system. But in addition to it, what we do is we also have a supervisory system where we use smart analytics, video analytics, and we use document analytics to integrate the data and extract the data, validate it with the government entities, and so on and so forth. That's the process what we follow. Moving on to it, we always, Tektronix always strive to adapt something which makes the whole system more secure, because it's not a traditional access control system, it's just an access management.
Correct.
But what we do is the data validation and stuff, and we bring it to a next scale. Now I need your insight and a appeal to give me some information where this security systems can enhance to a next level in terms of relevance with your expertise, where we can access the multiple layers of security management in terms of, because relating to the CrowdStrike, what I feel, if there was a process which validates that whether these patches were updated, how the access to Conjure, I mean, it's too much in detail, but whatever preliminary detail, if the team can get it, they verify it, maybe there were chances that we can, stop this service. So just want to understand more insight on this from you.
Absolutely. So Arshad, I think there are 3-4 areas of focus today. One is called identity-aware proxy.
Okay.
Identity-aware proxy, what it does is it's being tracked by location, it's being tracked by network, it's being tracked by identity authentication module. If there was any of these that were from unknown, untrusted source, then it basically does a step-up authentication. A step-up authentication is another layer of enhanced authentication, or a stronger authentication, or explicit authentication that allows you to go and re-credentialize yourself that you are legitimate who you are, number one. The second area that is missing is often the companies do is they do not have visibility of horizontal role monitoring. Yes, you have an admin credential in one of the islands of a data center or availability zones, but that same credential is often the same people who are the operations team also doing similar work in another availability zone. And if they are not tracking the horizontal rule monitoring of what their accesses are, and because it is RBAC, it is very hard to do that with RBAC. You need to go and look at step-up ways of policy as code. And that basically means that any time you have a change in network, a location, IP, a device, even the device that you carry, the finger or biometric fraud or MFA device, whatever, any change in MFA device, any change in network device, any change in data zones, whether sensitive data, highly confidential data, PII data, public data, and any change in the application layer. Example, Prisma Cloud can do example of application defense. So with Palo Alto, so those are configured by WAF, which is the WAF policies. But any change in that applications, publicly accessible applications, highly mission critical applications, or workloads that are highly sensitive or mission critical, that needs to be separated out. So all these logical thinking of 6 layers of separation with everything that needs to be stepped up, along with rigorous culture security awareness. You mentioned about that you take the valid data from different sources, but is that contextualized? And often what you gather volumes of data, video and on automatic recognition, but that data is not contextualized because the data is not going through the models of giving you the intelligence, threat intelligence real time. Often the threat intelligence is just recorded, and it is reactive that the incident happened and then you came to know.
True.
What we need to do is we need to take the threat intelligence, write the ML models, use AI-powered security by design, AI models for authentication that allows you to identify, validate that every action that a supervisory manager did, when he approved it, that was recorded, how well was it pre-approved. Because often the data center managers, they have to make the change emergency-wise. They don't care about approvals. They don't record the change, and they don't even test the change. And often they go and make the change because they were used to making the changes.
True.
And it was never, now in cloud, because of one change example that you could make in your network proxy with a port or with a segment or with so much, can affect the ability to traverse anything.
100%.
And I think that is where I have looked at change configuration, security configuration change with Wiz.io as an example. How do I detect misconfiguration real time before it actually make the change? How do I detect from the policy that this role monitoring, horizontal role monitoring, or rule monitoring, whatever you want to call it, that this person was authorized to make the change, actually approve the change, so that you can have the choke to throat.
Very true.
And I think that is often missed because we are doing with the speed and scale, from the cloud scale and cloud speed, ignoring the normal practices that we used to employ in the data center as a result of cloud. To your point, the contextualization and an identity-aware proxy is the starting point to make this correct. And Google has invested this in their GCP platform. Very well that I have been working on. Amazon also has done similar work. Of course, we have to buy third-party tools today, like Prisma Cloud or Zscaler, to help get to that level. But when you are building a cloud journey, you have to think about this situation awareness, contextualization, and how to manage the secrets. There are excessive usage of secrets or admin rights by the data center folks.
Very true. Yes.
I have walked into scenarios where they had put in secrets and admin rights for systems that they were not even using it, and they had entry in etc.conf or some or Unix kernel that you go and look at it. What is this? Looking at it, validation, making sure those are up to date. It is a discipline, is also a culture, is a training, is an awareness. At the same time, all these principles needs to go into the design thinking. A security architect, when you are designing a transformation, needs to be a part of that implementation. Often it's an afterthought. Oh, we have started the work, we have some design, let's bring a security guy to review. That doesn't work these days. You need to embed security engineering principles and your guiding principles into the team from the day zero. Day zero.
Very true.
And I think that's exactly, you may have seen, Arshad, in your data center implementations and migration, often sometimes security engineering being called at the later stage. That has happened in some governments, and I think now, as I'm happy that you brought this very interesting topic where this awareness and this tighter integration needs to be
very true. This enables me of thinking in a prospect where I have 3 questions popping up in my mind right now. I mean, after your glimpse of the data proxy methodology, what you have explained. First is, do we have, everything is monitored by GRC softwares, governance, risk and control and stuff. So does technology is evolving, by the way, day-to-day basis. So we add on controls on the proxy part, on the firewall part, or in different levels. Do the GRC element has this ability to track this?
Yes.
And give this as a face or a dashboard to the leadership who's managing the whole thing? Because they're not into operations. Yeah. They're not aware what exactly. Is it a critical risk or a normal risk? They're not aware of it unless the management or the security process puts in front of it. So GRC is something which enables in each and every part of it. So does the GRCs of the latest technological companies which they are developing in today's world, do they have that ability to integrate with this sort of information and pull out and show what is missing, what is off plan, what is active, and what is vulnerable and what is redundant?
Absolutely.
What's your thought on this?
So there are 2 aspects of it. One is propagation of change, and then integration of your configuration of item, CI item, directly from the policy of the GRC system or platform.
True, very true.
And so forth. So often what happens is you have a platform like ServiceNow as an example,
exactly,
where you actually started to put the change, like request. And the GRC platform is basically looking at a request, validation the request, and approving the change. But before approving, there are set of prerequisites. Sometimes the change doesn't have.
Sure.
And then you go in exception framework. An exception framework is not tightly integrated. It's basically an afterthought these days. It's not a real time. So an exception was granted 90 days. Even after 200 days later, that exception sits on the books.
That's massive.
And that is where the companies like SaaS posture security management, data posture security management needs to come in place. Yes, you got the exception in Salesforce data
True.
on the loader when you were extracting initially the first instance of your Salesforce cloud, Sales Cloud as an example. But that exception sat there in the sandbox, and you propagated that because you wanted to have a first one-time approval.
Very true.
But later on, that exception was never removed after the work was done because that exception was granted. The policy thinking the exception exists
It exists,
and gave you
exactly.
that exception, gave you that ability to go to traverse that. So in many cases, a tighter integration of ServiceNow or any other case management tool or platform that GRC introduces, along with the real-time policy retrieval of what was authorized or what our exception framework was, along with the reporting dashboards. The reporting dashboards today only says how many tickets have I completed and how many approvals I had and am I good to go. Exactly. They don't look at exceptions.
Very
Actually look at the exceptions and either architecture exceptions, they are security exceptions, they are platform exceptions, they are risks that have been also called out from a low platform, high threats models, etc. But all of them have never been studied. So the security team comes in, they give an exception because you wanted a change.
Very true.
But then later on, the team that does the change, and then you enhance the product from, let's say that you had a very fundamental program increment that you initially started with the 1.0 product, and now you're going to 1.5 as an example. That journey from 1.0 to 1.5 was never looked at it in its entirety again.
Very true.
In the review process. The security governance process is important. So I think in this case, to your point, a established security governance process that it knows to go and security review governance board to review all these changes and also make it automated. We don't want to sit in 4 hours meeting. Security engineers don't have a 4-hour review meeting. And we don't want to be that. We want to get you all the information, fast track that review with already online review, and then come back for in-person demonstration of discussion with all the relevant stakeholders. There is a security team, there's a product team, compliance team, policy team, assurance team,
very important.
and operations team.
This is something very critical. That is what I feel. I mean, I should definitely appreciate the vision of the ministry here and the Cybersecurity Council,
Awesome.
which takes the steps and releases the post on their media feed and social media, eventually every time, that only cybersecurity, the cyber solutions are not only the option, but you also have to look on the part of physical security and identity management, where, as you said, a lot of controls come into picture, processes come into picture, validation comes into picture, and at the same time the updated validation. It's not that the way that it's updated somewhere else maybe 1 year ago and still it exists and the process is going on and the loophole is still lying there. So that is how it has to be. Okay. One more question, what is very interesting, what I feel, we have AI in every segment of life, yeah? We have, you call it as Chat GPT.
Sure.
Every iPhone has released a new version where you have many AI elements. Samsung is releasing their smartphones with an AI. What I feel is, do we have AI segment in what do you call firewall area? You call it as you just name Palo Alto or any other brand. So do we have this AI intelligence and this AI approach to identify, like the way we were discussing, the updates which were done due to some circumstance, some reason, they were not changed. So does the system enable, this is one of the example, by the way, enable the whole process to update and keep it all firm, ready, without any human intervention or any mishaps happening?
So I will tell you, Google about 8 years ago introduced a framework called SAFE, Secure AI Framework. And since then, I actually worked on GCP Fusion product for Match.com on plentyoffish.com, which were my clients in the past. Actually, SATA Systems, where I used to work with as Google Premier partner. And when I led the engagements, we were using the cutting edge 82 machine learning models, basically coming together to have a match, or 84 demographic information, education, height, weight, all the matches that are up there to come together. What we learned at that time was the AI framework. I mean, AWS has it. Azure is coming up with their better one. It all comes back to what are the risks in which is employed. In this case, when you are doing a call center integration, the risks are the call center has tremendous amount of information when they log in with the customer.
True.
And these call centers are often contracts given to the third party.
Exactly.
And they are virtual. They
Very
are globally. They are not connected to a physical. Sometimes they are independent contractors. In many cases, as freelancers. The risk here is how do you protect that information traversing to them when somebody is sharing, here is my social, last four of my social, this is my date of birth, this is my national ID number, and go and look at my case, help me with this booking example, that you have a missed flight or so forth. Often, and they give you credit card information, so that information is protected, but then they actually have no background in security. Often these people are temp employees who sometimes, when you are outsourcing this critical portion of call center, when you're doing a BPO, you have to be really careful that where this is being shipped, where the data is being interacted to. Yes, you are putting the data in your data sovereignty model where you put perhaps but it is being looked at, analyzed, viewed, queried by a third party. And that is also a risk. So the risk has to be looked at it from its entirety. So safe framework in AI, chatbot. Sometimes I put in my chatbot, customer chatbot, here is my national ID number, here is my date of birth, please help me with this booking.
Very true.
Well, the chatbots, they have to separate out that whole thing into what are the secure elements that needs to be protected automatically, data masking or masking or other techniques, substitution, etc. Or on this side, they have to look at it, what is the request that makes it frictionless to go into user experience, make that request in 1 or 2 clicks.
Exactly.
If I am going into 40 different categories, I get frustrated and come out of it.
Of course.
Right? So it has to be a balance of security, user
At the same
experience,
time, user experience.
and integration. And then the posture, data security posture management, DSPM that I call, is critical in every segment to ensure that data is protected and how
Amazing.
So,
very true.
And I have used products like App Omni in this case, and there is also other ones that has done a tremendous amount of Big ID is also one platform that is based in Tel Aviv. I have actually worked with them in Tel Aviv, Israel.
Great.
And extensively actually developed their modules. With my use cases, they were actually able to expand their product functionality, which was never been the case when they first came into a U.S. enterprise of a magnitude giant like Fannie Mae mortgage giant in the world, which is the biggest $3 trillion mortgage company in the world. So
thank you so much. I appreciate your insight and detailed review on the multiple aspects of proxy detection and the controls and how it has to be configured and stuff. As I was discussing regarding the controls and the layers of security in terms of physical security, identity management in different areas, you call it as data centers, private secure facilities, cache wallet areas, or palaces, embassies, consulates. So there's a wide area of segment where there is a physical security, identity management, many layers of access control systems and other stuff to be implemented in line with the tech on the cybersecurity part, on the identity management part, validation part has to be implemented. So when we were discussing this, what I have understood is sovereign data is one of the major aspect. But when we talk about sovereign data, it's only about the identity management and IDs and the legal, profiles of the person. That is on one part. What I understood is that we thinking the other way around, out of this green area, where when you look into a perspective from the data being collected from various sources in today's world, from food applications, from transport applications, which are not government, by the way, which are privately managed or semi-government entities. And anyhow, that rule applies to all. We have got a very stringent data policy protection laws here in the GCC region, especially the UAE. But again, I wanted to know the insight of this, so that is there any area where we can improve ourselves, which will enable us to make it more secure. So let's ask this question with the experts and get to know more on this. So, Mr. Khader, as the question was always boggling in my mind when I order a book, when I book a food parcel or any ride, the data which the entities, the authorities have, is an old data. My passport gets updated once in 5 years, once in 10 years. My license gets updated once in 5 years, 10 years, so on and so forth applies to all the IDs. But now the real-time location, real address, real phone number, alternate number, my favorite contact, my favorite food, my favorite destinations throughout the city, my favorite books. I mean, these are all our preferences, what we feel, which are our personal. And it is not limited to every person has his own right to make it personal or public, because it's a world of social media. So everyone would like to post it, some would like to keep it private, different opinions. Even it applies to the medical industry. So my question or an information what I wanted to understand, the relevance between the data of the person, his address, all of his logs, and the data security. How does this take place in the other part of the world?
Absolutely. So there is a EU privacy shield within EU, and then there is a CCPA, California Consumer Protection Law, and there are other areas in data privacy, GDPR. Well, data privacy is getting importance, and it has to be, because there is one aspect which that you mentioned is called profile information, which is a name, identifier, street address.
True, very true.
Which is identified with that two or elements or three elements of that identifier, I can track who Arshad is, example.
As simple as
right,
that.
Right?
Very true.
But then there is the location part. You raise a very important point. And that is where the location, where Arshad lives. If I know Arshad's zip code, okay, then I know exactly where the marketing campaigns can begin about Arshad, right? For example, Arshad's loyalty programs that Arshad is enrolled in, Arshad's preferences. Now, within the EU Privacy Shield, opt-in, opt-out, right to delete, right to know, right to edit the information has to exist.
Oh, wow.
So that means Arshad's order and Uber Eats menu item from a restaurant, and that's maybe that item or restaurant is his favorite restaurant, and he orders similar food from that restaurant all day long, or for his family and so forth. So he has given that preference and as marked as favorite that item in that store, and gave Google review of that restaurant already, and his name has been flagged or tagged with that restaurant and with our good review or positive negative review already. So now we have to look at this from three different perspectives. One is the profile information that Arshad is, who Arshad is from the digital identity, from a legal person that you raised, that UAE is an example. We call it identifier, personal identifiers. The second is a profile. Second part of the profile is certain information which do not fit in the profile, but is helpful to match a stronger match of your identity.
Oh.
So the stronger match of identity is your cell phone number. In Massachusetts, zip code is considered a violation of, if somebody puts in a marketing that Arshad belongs to a zip code and they know the zip code, that it's a violation of the data privacy. Because now we know Arshad lives in that town, in that expensive neighborhood, let's say, as an example.
Very true. And
then we can go and sell him a cruise, okay, a cruise event or something, rather than selling him a sandwich burger item,
Very
example, right? So the point is, certain about your financials, profile, about your demographic range of income, about your sources of your of your stronger match has to be protected. And then your preferences have to be opt-in, opt-out. You cannot, I say, I do not want to share my Uber order or Uber Eats order to any of it to another competitor like Zomato or some other agency you mentioned that might benefit from your order and perhaps invade your privacy about what you like, what you dislike.
Amazing. Yes.
So opting in and opting out. The right to edit. I have given examples in EU. An Austrian flying into Czech Republic Airlines, when he buys something in Austria and he goes to Czech Republic or Poland, all that data, he has a right to opt in, opt out. He has a right to edit. He has a right to manage the data according to what is being stored in Austria compared to when he went back to Czech Republic, though they are EU countries, part of EU. But within EU, there is also data sovereignty that even preferences have to be maintained differently. And there is a legal jurisdiction about what can be shared about that person from within the country of smaller, within 100-mile zones. So in today's world, we in Asia Pac have not seen that level of conformity to make this level of separation of data and make it in a very thoughtful way. Yes, we have profile, we have a personal identifier information about your digital identity, but preferences, your right to update the information in a way that keeps these three elements separated out at all times is the biggest task in the data privacy. At Toyota, as an example, I was not allowed to show which auto mechanic shop that this person went when he drove within the EU nations to other.
Amazing. So I would, after listening to this, I would definitely appreciate the leadership and the processes which are being followed, that most of the aspects which you have told are being followed here in the Emirates, in each Emirate, and the authorities make sure that each and every part of the information gets securely addressed. But there is always, an update or an advancement or a learning which will thrive in the departments to move ahead and definitely update the processes. So once again, thank you for a very enlightening information on the privacy part, which is again a sovereign data or a private segment data, and the collaboration between both of it, which will enrich the security levels, of course, in different levels altogether, in government, semi-government, private. In private, there are multiple areas where real estate plays a major role, hospitality, ed tech, and other so on and so forth departments. But data is, as we all know, is the next oil. It's not the next oil, it's the oil now, which is the precious thing which the departments and the country has it.
Correct.
Which plays a major role how it can be securely managed and stuff. I heard that you have established your organization here in UAE, and it's called Stony Point Information Consultancy and Services.
So let me elaborate that, Arshad. So think of Stony Point Technology Services and Consultancy is similar to EPAM Systems or Accenture, but not at the expensive model that EPAM Systems or Accenture is. We are a global systems integrator, and my registration as a commercial license in UAE is a starting point to serve the GCC countries of this region, entire GCC, all the GCC countries of this region. I have a background in previously that I worked in Asia Pac before, in Singapore and Malaysia and others. And I think I haven't had the ability, my share of GCC presence in the past. Okay. So with this new startup and partnership with Tektronix, I am hoping to reach out to the UCC commercial and the government institutions, not just in cybersecurity, by the way, but also in the overall IT strategy, information technology, digital transformation, digital data engineering, enterprise architecture, building the roadmaps for the large commercial organizations and helping them execute on their roadmaps. So while cybersecurity is one of the areas that I play, more importantly, my other ex-CIOs and CTOs and CISOs that are part of my team that I come from Europe and North America are willing to take new assignments and new opportunities, work with your organization as well to go and help in the advisory services and consultancy services, partner with you, with Tektronix and many others in this area.
Amazing. So I heartily welcome and congratulate Mr. Khader Mohammed for establishing his entity here in United Arab Emirates as a Stony Point Engineering Services and Consultancy Services. So Tektronix collaboration with Stony Point will enable definitely a major wing in terms of different areas with cybersecurity and other areas where cyber engineering, data lake protection, data lake management and other services at the same time. So I would like to ask more on the service verticals on a high level, which will be more specific to government services at the same time, and also the semi-government and private area where the security has to be in place in terms of your area. So what do you think on a high level, if you note it down in 5 points, which are the major areas which you play a pivotal role to enhance the services?
Absolutely, Arshad. So the 5 verticals that I have always looked at it in the past, in at least EU success and Europe and North American success, I want to bring that same success flavors to these 5 verticals. One of them is FSI, financial services and insurance. Second is in the healthcare, the payer and the provider organizations, the hospitals and the insurance companies. And then we include the dental plans and government insurance plans, etc. The third area is retail and hospitality. I've done a lot of work in that area. And the fourth is manufacturing, automotive.
Oh, wow.
And then which is with Toyota as an example. And the fifth is the governmental organizations, which are regulated organizations, regulatory organizations, like in the case of Fannie Mae as an example, or similar examples where we can directly work with the UAE's Security Council organization as an example. Opportunities in that regard where are tailored for public and NGOs.
Oh, wow.
That's the autonomous organization or national organizations or governmental organizations, semi-autonomous, autonomous organizations that I can work with the state and the local governments and municipalities to serve their interests as well. So these are the 5 verticals I have looked at it. In terms of practice, as I said, we are global systems integrators. We have services similar to what EPAM systems and Accenture does, except that we are not that big. We are personalized, we are agile, we want to help you craft the right services and the right outcomes for you. For that, I bring the wealth of my 31,000 people that I have networked in LinkedIn to bring the desired outcomes for you. I have worked in my clients in the past in the US company. I have about 17 countries where my clients are already, where I've served my clients in the past. So I want to replicate the same success in GCC, working with you and other partners in this.
Pleasure to have you here. Hope this partnership will bring an overwhelming response and a very success story to our engagement with a lot of customers, projects, and definitely the security to the country and on an individual and private sector.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Moving on to the government segment which you are discussing about as a service-oriented segment. So what are the major services which you feel like you can offer, especially in terms of government? When I talk about government, it is departments in segmented approach, and at the same time government as a whole, where the national data and the sovereign data and their own data centers. So you can explain me on a nutshell what will be our major area of focus, and at the same time the exclusive services which we will be offering.
Absolutely. So I think I would first say it is a managed services model. The managed services model pertains to coming in, helping do a quick assessment, whether it is architecture, enterprise architecture assessment, or a security assessment. I can come in, look at the risk from the cybersecurity perspective, look at from the architecture readiness perspective, where they are in terms of their journey, to help them craft a personalized roadmap on the EA side or a CTO side, and then a CISO side, a personalized security roadmap transformation. So I'm looking at CTO and a CISO kind of advisory services initially coming in, doing quick assessment, a quick jump start to their implementation. It will be a flat price, a managed services engagement with one fixed price. You will get a blueprint and a reference architecture, a model that you can go and execute for your organization, whether you are small or large. We have a fixed price. It's all based on number of weeks and time and fixed rate that you have to go in and participate with us, and we will give you the package.
Amazing.
That's first. The second model I'm looking at it is custom. Anything that is custom implementation from a cloud migration, integration, architecture, data lakes, AI or machine learning, or for that matter, anything that development work. Everybody has similar packages. We do as well, because we also an IT company in that we have to offer that.
Very true.
And we do microservices, whatever you want to an architecture, whatever you want to call it. We do that all day long. We have those standard services. And I know Tektronix also has a very good share in that. So we will look for synergies of collaboration between you and us together to look into those.
Of course.
And the third area is ERP, CRM implementations. I've looked at it from a Salesforce, Oracle, Fusion, middleware, Microsoft Dynamics. These are ERP or PeopleSoft, or in the past, or NetSuite for that matter, or Financial Force, or some of the similar ERP, CRM models, or Appian, BPM model example. I'm looking at some of these packages as ERP, CRM implementations, SAP practice, or Salesforce practice, and we have that in our arsenal to deliver that. Number 3. Number 4, what we do is we do a lot of testing and infrastructure work as well. I know your firm is absolutely the best in that regard, and I don't want to step into the GCC services that you follow. In this case, we will partner with you. We'd love to partner with you in the testing, in some of these areas of maintenance, software maintenance, patch management, in the maintenance and monitoring and testing services. That's number 4. Number 5, we also do a lot of I would say organizational transformation. So people readiness, change management, people enablement, recruit, and helping them in succession planning, in organizational dynamics, in effectiveness of their performance management. We want to make sure that you have the right hire. So we help in organizational structure, in developing and advocating the right people to come in to form at the leadership level and for succession planning. So we, in the M&A organization, if you're looking at organizational structure, if you're looking at transformation of an organization from IT, talent, and culture and fit perspective, I have developed an innovation hub model for the organizational structure. I've done a multi model for IT. Okay, so I've done those models to help my clients be successful with organization consulting models.
No, that's
similar to what Gartner does, similar to Watson Consulting does. We are not Watson, but we can help. We can help break
definitely,
that.
We can strive to be, one among them, and definitely, inshallah. And nothing is impossible, but at the same time, the level of effort and the readiness to approach the market, that plays a major vital role. So as I was listening, I mean, the major unique selling proposition, what could be, we enhance our services in such a way that we try to tailor-made the solution, as the way you're telling, customization. I mean, the big services with big names come to an approach where minute level of customization becomes very difficult, which is most required by the consultant, client, or the customer.
Absolutely.
So that part, I mean, with this corporate experience which you bring at the back of you, you tailor-made the solution that makes the perfect fix to the jigsaw, where one puzzle was missing, and that customization is done, and now the program is tailor-made and swiftly enabled for that particular customer.
Absolutely.
That is the most unique selling proposition.
I call it
what
as
feel.
I call it as a personalized medicine.
Amazing.
So just like you have in a personalized medicine, you have a personalized
Agreed.
IT,
Agreed.
where I mean, the big giants, yes, they have a factory template, to your point, and they come in to do a 6 weeks, 8 week assessment, and they give you the same results that you typically expect for.
Agreed.
And they think you one size fit for all, but that's not the case.
That's not the case, and moreover, adding to this point, sorry, I'm stopping you, that the big infra companies has their own set of model,
Yeah.
but there are companies on a medium scale and a low scale,
Yeah.
which has an enough amount of revenue and transaction, which they feel like they have to have a sustainable system. But when they want to go for a big name, that
Yeah.
may be not possible for multiple reasons.
Absolutely.
And if they want to go for if we give them a solution which is sustainable, at the same time tailor-made for their services,
Absolutely.
then that is the perfect
Absolutely. Well,
option.
there is a saying that one client at a time, and I have learned that from the 23 years ago when I worked at Accenture. So I'm just telling you that I want to serve one client at a time with all my satisfaction scores that I get measured to.
Amazing, amazing. So I would like to enhance and update some of the verticals which Tektronix Technologies does, and which has been the major forte in the profile of Tektronix past 13 years, where we render solutions for smart cities, for identity management and access management solution, which are one of the state-of-the-art solutions, in-house developed, custom-made for the entities in different areas. You call it for infra, for medical industry, for healthcare, for edtech. We've got the different types of solutions. So the perfect match with Stony Point and Tektronix would be a tailor-made solution for the customers in terms of cyber and energy of the data lake designing and other stuff, and at the same time our products and services in our segment for smart cities in terms of AI and IoT enablement. So that would be the perfect match, where we can give a 360-degree solution for the companies looking for the right security approach.
Awesome. Thank you, Arshad, for having me here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you once again for taking out your precious time, and we can discuss more. We'll have more such podcasts, because it's not limited to this industry, but at the same time, there are multiple companies and entities who are looking to enhance their security, but there is not a guidance or a route path which is defined to approach and get it evaluated.
Absolutely. So Arshad, I look at it as a trusted advisor.
Of course.
So I think as a trusted advisor, my job is to provide point of views and thought leadership at every engagement level, right from the CEO to the CISO to the CIOs to the directors and the delegates of directors. So we have done that, and I think I would love to partner with providing that thought leadership with POVs and content that you and I can share with our clients at a point, so that you and I can work on some account planning, how to help the customer the right way, the optimized way. Of course, they may have choices, but with our partnership, I feel very strongly confident that we got the right ingredient for success. That the Lego that was missing is a missing puzzle in the jigsaw, to your point. We want to fix that, and we are very in our pricing, we are very fair and balanced. And we are not EPAM charging hundreds of dollars per hour. At the same time, we are small, agile, customer obsessed, one customer success at a time. Amazing. That is what I think this partnership, I'm super happy, super confident that you and I can go and deliver at that.
Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Have a great time.
Absolutely.
And we'll make a very good partnership.
Thank you, sir.
Inshallah. Thank you.